Let's jump right in. Don Lemon and Elon Musk have consciously uncoupled.
Can I introduce myself like I'm a co-host? And I'm Don Lemon. Welcome to Pivot.
There you go. Nice. Lemon. We decided to sex up this podcast.
Yes, after recording a 90-minute interview last week for Lemon's upcoming show, Musk texted Lemon's rep, contract terminated. Contract canceled.
Hi, Kira. Hi, Prof. G.
Hello, Don. What's going on? Listen, we need to stop. We want to find out what happened. And I know you talked a little bit on CNN last night about it. And welcome back to CNN, by the way.
That was such a weird experience.
Why so? Because you were in the building?
Well, I mean, it was, I went back to the place where, I no longer work, almost a year, not quite, it was April. I was in the same studio. Aaron and I always shared a studio. They just, switched the desk around, right? That studio with the stairs. And so they would just switch backgrounds and switch the desk around. And all of my entire camera crew and producers were there. It was just very.
Was it a happy homecoming? They like you. I know that.
Everyone showed up. People came out of the control room. They came in from, they were very happy to see me.
Oh, very nice.
And then I was happy to see them, but I had to leave, because it was too emotional.
Yes.
I was going to start crying.
Oh, yeah. You could cry. That would be okay. But listen, we need to know what happened. But first, there's already conspiracy theories. So I'm going to read this comment from a Threads user, SB Kurt. Y'all are so gullible. This is manufactured. Remember when Hostess Cupcakes was going bankrupt and out of business and there was a run on ho-hos? Well, these two ho-hos are playing y'all. Just so you know, people think now it's a plot between you and Elon to boost watching of this. Just so you know.
That's not it.
Yeah.
Kara, you know that's not it.
I know it. I'm just laughing. I mean,
You know it because we talked about this.
Yes.
Soon after I left CNN, I said, what am I going to do? I'm going to take the summer off. Give me some ideas to ponder. You gave me some ideas.
Yep.
And then I came back to you with an idea of told you that X was reaching out to me. I think it was Twitter then, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
And you said, no, don't do it.
Don't. I was like, this is the plot of Get Out. Do not do it. Do not do it. But we also chatted about this partnership with X at my event for the book, which you kindly moderated just a few weeks ago at the 92nd Street Y. I did voice my concerns then, and I said, get the money up front at some point. So go through what happened. Both Scott and I, everybody was not surprised, I would say, right, that this occurred. But I think it still got a lot of attention. So talk us through what happened and what the deal was.
You mean how this deal came about?
Yeah.
Okay, so as you know, Elon Musk very publicly tweeted inviting me to the platform.
Yeah.
And then Tucker eventually started a show and he said, this is what everyone should be doing. Don Lemon should be doing this.
Yeah.
And then I got a phone call from someone I told you, I don't know if you want to mention the name, but you said that they were acting on behalf of Elon, someone who is in a very high profile position who, bold name, said, you should do this. This is great for you, blah, 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 blah. And so that was very early on. And I said no. And then Linda Yaccarino was signed on as CEO. And she knows a lot of people that you and I know, very respected
She was at NBC, yep.
She was at NBC. And they said, wait till Linda, gets on board. And we did. And then they reached out again. They kept reaching out and they kept pursuing me. And I said, yeah. And they kept sweetening the deal. And I said, of course. And so we started working. I said, I will only do this if I can be myself on your platform. The only reason I'm coming to your platform is because I think Twitter, I think it was Twitter at the time, or maybe it was changing into X, whatever, it's interchangeable. I think it's the biggest platform for news besides being on a network. And for people who are speaking out and who are commenting on news. When people want to know about news, if there's a breaking story, the first thing they do is they pick up their phone and they go to Twitter or they go to X and they want to see what's trending or what have you. And I said, I want to be myself, and I'm going to have to criticize the person who owns this platform. And they said, that's completely fine. That's what we want. We want you to be you. And we're all about free speech. Elon's a free speech absolutist. He would text me. We would text each other and we would talk about these things. He said, I want you on the platform. This is what you should be doing. And everyone said, you're going to be free to be yourself. And that's how it came about.
Right. And so you signed a deal. Now, can you give specifics? They gave you a lot of money to be not exclusive. I think people are confused by this. You can be anywhere, right? You can put your stuff, your new show on YouTube or Instagram or wherever you feel like, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to go into specifics about the money, and that's not what you're asking me. But was there a financial part of it? Absolutely. Was it, enticing? Absolutely.
What did they get for it? Like, do you have extra 10 minutes?
But so here's the thing. Everyone thinks it was an X show. Mm-hmm. It was not an X show. Mm-hmm. It was my show produced by my production company, which is called LMN or Lemon Media Network, produced by my company. They had no editorial control over it. At first, we wanted to do 5 days a week. And then I said, everyone in this business said, that's too much. Do 3 days a week. You even told me that. Like, don't get crazy. And so we decided to do 3 days a week and 3 shows a week. What X wanted was some exclusive material. So I think I had to give them like 10 videos or something like that per week. And I think they had to be like 10 minutes long or what have you. That was extra things on top of the episodes. My episodes were already going to air everywhere, right? They're going to be on YouTube. They're going to be on iHeart. Wherever you get streaming or podcasts. Mm-hmm. And so they just wanted some extra material on top of that. And that material had to be exclusive to them for 24 hours.
That's all.
And then it went everywhere.
Right.
That's all they got.
Yeah.
And so I said, if you're going to pay me this money and I'm going to be posting on your platform, if I didn't get this for free, it's a no-brainer. You're giving me money to post on X. It was a no-brainer to me because people promote their material and their content on X anyways. Even people who don't like it, they're still on X. And I asked a lot of people, you don't like X, why are you still on it? They said, because there's nothing else better. So that was a deal.
So were they selling your advertising?
Were they selling my advertising? Yes, they were selling advertising around me.
Around you.
And I think
on X.
I think on X. And I think what they wanted was someone who was not an extremist. Right. Someone who wasn't a right-wing conspiracy theorist that they could sell to
regular advertisers. And the last
Look,
question.
we have Don Lemon.
Yeah, the last question on that, and then Scott, please jump in, is, and they took you to CES and showed you off. Linda likes to do that. Had a dinner and showed you off to advertisers, correct?
Yes. And, there's, yeah.
Yes.
I want to say something, but I don't know if I should say it.
All right. But nonetheless.
Oh, you should.
Yes, please do.
I should?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you should.
You think I should say it?
Yes.
You want me to say it?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
They said to my representatives, if I didn't get on a plane and go to CES, the deal was off.
Okay. So they needed your face.
They needed me there.
All right.
And then they, trotted me out to their clients and their potential advertisers and what have you. Look, Don Lemon. And I was always either the marquee person, right, at the top of the thing, or the person that they're like, and finally, Don Lemon.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
We've been at those dinners. All right, Scott?
Yeah, Don, good to see you. So I don't want to speak specifically to working with Elon Musk, but what's it like to work with a malignant narcissist who is abusing a dissociative narcotic, just generally speaking?
Scott.
Well, I've never worked with you, Scott, so I don't know.
Boom! Don bringing the fire.
But listen, your question is moot, I think, because I never really worked with him. Mm-hmm. I didn't have that much contact with Elon Musk. The contact I had with him is he called me. I think he was in Paris. We had a long conversation for about 45 minutes in the summer. After I spoke to him, I spoke with Kara, and I said, I don't want to do this, what have you. He was very nice on the phone. I think his mom was sitting there next to him, and we were talking about it. He's very kind, very friendly. I have nothing against Elon Musk. As a matter of fact, during the interview, I felt some empathy for him because I was just like, this is someone who is a brilliant man in some aspects, but he's emotionally immature. Mm-hmm. And I could pick that up in the interview and a bit insecure. But I have nothing against Elon Musk. I've never really worked with him. I have never met him in person. Had never met him in person until I did that interview. We shared some texts. I'm going to call you, or when are you free? And then around Deal Book, I texted him, and I think I said something like, "Wow, I can't, surprising you said that, but here's what I like that you said." And he said, "Free speech is when people you don't like say things you don't like." And I said, you know what? I agree with you on that. That's probably one of the only things that we agree on. I may not agree with you, but I'm going to fight like hell for your right to be able to say it.
That's where he kind of went off the rails a little bit. I think
let's
go ahead.
Let's double click on that because
I just want to tell people who don't know, he kind of had a meltdown on stage with Andrew Ross Sorkin.
Okay, so Mr. Free Speech, it's important, consistently says it's important that people say what they want to say and people don't like it. What did you say that he didn't like that he then fired you unceremoniously for?
You'll have to ask him, Scott.
You were in the room, Don. What do you think upset him enough to literally, my understanding is within 24 hours.
What's your sense, right?
When presented with facts about things that he tweets about, and I'll still call it, tweeting about his posts, he didn't like that. When I asked him about his alleged drug use that has been reported in the Wall Street Journal, very credible organizations, when I asked him about his ketamine use that he himself had tweeted about, he himself put out there, he bristled at that. Yeah, and I said, I wouldn't talk about these things, Elon. I wouldn't talk about your ketamine use if you had not publicly said that. How would I even know about it? And he actually had a very good answer. He said, the reason I talked about it is because I thought it would help people.
Yeah.
And if you're on SSRIs, maybe you should consider taking ketamine. And I think he's absolutely right. I myself have suffered from depression. He talked about depression and his use of ketamine. I said, I have suffered from depression, and I agree with you. You should try different things. I used to do talk therapy, and my doctor actually tried drug therapy on me. I've done stories about people with PTSD who have done ketamine and other drugs, and it has actually helped them. So we agreed on that, but that went over his head. I don't think he even heard it because I just don't think that he liked sitting there taking questions from me, someone that he has a history with, and just being held accountable and just being held to facts. When I talked about DEI and about, what he tweeted about, remember the Alaskan Airlines pilot who, when the door blew off and the plan, and she landed the plane successfully, he, somehow that it was a DEI thing. And I said, but this is a woman who landed a plane successfully. That means that she is actually qualified to do a job. So I don't understand why you're tweeting the things that you're tweeting. There's no evidence of what you're putting out there. And he said, well, it would just be awful if we're lowering the standards on air safety, and it would be awful if we're lowering the standards for medical school because of DEI. And I said, yes, that would be awful, but there's no actual evidence that it is happening.
So
why are you doing it? It is hypothetical. He said, all I'm saying is that it would be terrible and we shouldn't do it.
He didn't like pushback.
He didn't like pushback, but I am raising my voice now louder than I did in that interview because I did not want that to happen. So I was very calm and I asked him if you see.
It seemed like the clips. They seemed reasonable questions
with follow-ups, and that's
right.
It.
So he called your approach saying basically just CNN but on social media, and it's really just Jeff Zucker talking through Don, who you worked with, Jeff Zucker at CNN. How did you react to this?
It's stupid. I mean, that was read to me secondhand, and I think he tweeted about it, or at least that was in his response to the press after this happened. I mean, I think it's silly. I think he thinks by putting Jeff's name that it's somehow going to get more attention, and he's being a provocateur because people may look at Jeff as a person. Well, not may look at Jeff. They obviously know he ran CNN, and so that is sort of that adds to the he's a liberal sort of bro podcast world. Where people who don't like the mainstream media, but they watch Fox News all the time, which is part of the mainstream media. And let me just say this, as you know, and I'm not ashamed of this. Jeff's only connection to this is that Everwonder Studios is producing my show.
It's wholly owned by Redbird, yeah.
I was approached by Ian, who was formerly worked for Time Inc. for Everwonder Studios. It's a coincidence, but I'm proud to work with Everwonder Studios, and I'm proud to work with Jeff Zucker. And I think Jeff Zucker is one of the most talented media executives to ever live. And so to have him as a personal friend and as a mentor and someone who counsels me occasionally, I am not ashamed of that at all. I'm actually very proud of that. I'm lucky to have that in my life.
Let me ask, when you left the interview, when I do interviews, I sort of know how they feel, essentially. Yes. Did you have any idea how he felt?
I did.
And I kept texting you. I was like, oh, you're going to get fired tomorrow, no matter what you did.
I did. But I said to you, we talked about it. I said, this wasn't, we compared someone in the business. This wasn't a situation where I was going to get guff for someone saying that I was bought and paid for, because it was actually, I think I said it was,
you said it was
tense. It wasn't comfy at times, I think is what I texted you. And it wasn't, it was tense. In the beginning, it was, he was a bit cold. And then he warmed up a little bit.
So fast forward, you did it, and then you heard this thing. And did you hear from Linda ever? Did she write you, who has been like slavishly trying to land your deal?
We spent the next afternoon in Austin, and I was trying to hook up with you just to say hi or to do something, but I had to leave. And so I land at Newark Airport on Saturday evening, very rainy Saturday evening, and my agent calls and says, "Hey, I need you to step out. Where are you? I got to talk to you." And I said, "I can't." And he goes, "No, I need you to." I said, "I can't. I'm taxiing." And he goes, "Where are you taxiing? In Austin? Are you still there?" And I said, "No, I just landed in New York." And I said, he said, "Well, I just got a text from Elon." And I said, "Okay, what did he say?" And he said, "He's very upset. He read me the text. It was kind of, I don't know if I would say vulgar."
Yes, I've gotten those texts.
You would say vulgar?
Probably.
And it was very insulting. And then he said, "Deal canceled." Or contract canceled. And so I was sitting next to my executive producer, Jonathan Wald, and I said, "I'm on with Jay," and he said that Elon said the contract was canceled. And we looked at each other like, what, why? I don't know. And then, I don't know, in that moment, I was just like, good. I'm tired. I went into this with my eyes open, but I was so tired of the pushback that I was getting from people who really loved me, from people who really supported me. And although I thought I was doing the right thing, I knew I was doing the right thing because I wanted my work to be presented and amplified to the largest number of people who could receive it.
Yeah.
And I do believe, as you know, in free speech. And I do believe that we should have better discourse in this country with people we don't agree with. My mom and I have disagreements all the time.
Right.
I still go to visit her for Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever. She's coming to my wedding or whatever. I mean, but we still love each other. We don't do that in this country.
She doesn't say sonship canceled. She doesn't say sonship.
She doesn't say that.
Sonship canceled. Scott, let me have Scott ask a question. Scott, go ahead.
I mean, my sense is, Don, and obviously you're probably still processing this, but if you were going to try and launch a show, the biggest get would be to get Elon Musk to do your initial show. The even bigger get is to get him and then have him freak out and fire you. I mean, isn't this out of central casting for how to launch a show? Isn't this a great thing? Because a couple of things. My understanding is the way you've depicted it is you have a show, and Twitter was just going to be one of many distribution outlets. One, does that mean the show is going to air? And two, I just can't imagine this playing out any better for Don Lemon. Your thoughts?
Yeah, you're right. So the moment I got the call, that's what I said. I was like, well, if he is going to cancel this contract, because at first I thought, well, he's just being petulant and, cooler heads will prevail and whatever. And I said, but if he does, do it before the show airs. Because as you said, Scott, that would be the best thing to happen to me. Do it before the show airs and tweet about it if you're going to do it.
Right.
And so I could not have asked for a bigger promotion for the show than this. But, I think that in the long term, having X on board, and if I could have done some work with them, I think it would have been helpful in the long term.
Promotional
of the business promotion, because they use the algorithm.
Yeah.
And I told you I was using their analytics. Basically, I was going to use them as a newsroom.
Right.
As my newsroom.
As a place
Since
to
I don't
go.
have the big
they were going to tout you to high heavens.
Yeah.
Let me just ask a crass question, though. Do you get paid out?
That is something that you'll have to ask my representatives. We're still in the middle of that. I have an agreement with them, and I expect them to abide by that agreement. And if they don't, they're in breach.
You weren't terminated for cause, so why wouldn't you be paid out?
Well, because apparently he didn't sign this contract. Is that correct? Even though he said contract canceled and therefore is acknowledging there's a contract. Correct.
To my understanding, I would prefer my representatives to discuss this. That there was an agreement, that we have an agreement, and again, they said if I did not go to CES, that the deal was off.
I see.
They announced it to the world.
Yes, they did do a press release.
They trotted me out.
They touted it quite a bit that you were going to be there. But you didn't sign, is that correct? Just because there's been lots of different reporting.
I don't know what the representatives, I did not, but I don't know what.
Yes, okay, all right. I've been in those contracts. So So in any case, have you spoken to Linda Yaccarino at all? Did you hear from her at all?
I heard from Linda the next morning. On Sunday morning, I got
Did she know what had happened?
That's a very good question.
Did the CEO know?
No.
Yeah.
The CEO got a text from Elon. She had not, but when I spoke to her, she had not spoken to him. Mm-hmm. She called me to say, to try to smooth it over and to find out what happened. And I just want to know what was going on because, I haven't even spoken to him and I'm waiting to get in touch with him and what have you. But I think it took a while for her to get in touch with him.
Whatever. He fired the wrong person, Don.
Anyways.
Sorry, go ahead.
Let me tell you, look, if there was ever any question about who is running X, there isn't one now.
Yeah.
It's Elon Musk.
Yeah.
That's who's running X.
Did she apologize or she makes so many excuses for him?
I don't remember if she apologized, but she was very apologetic, if that makes sense.
Right. Yes.
It was sort of very contrite and saying, I want to smooth this over. I think that you're great for the platform. We love having you on the platform. You've been a team player, blah, blah, blah. And I think that I want to get Elon to understand. And quite frankly, I said, I think that he was just uncomfortable in the moment. Mm-hmm. And what will actually turn out in the interview, he's going to look better than he thought. Mm-hmm. Right? Because this wasn't a gotcha interview. Right. This was just a Q&A. I was just having a conversation with him, questions and answers. And I think just, again, just because he was so uncomfortable for some reason for my mere presence and questions, I just think that was the discomfort. When you see the interview, there are nuggets in there. He does make news in there. Mm-hmm. I don't attack him, and there are no gotcha questions. I think people are going to walk away from this interview
this is what happened. This happens in a lot of these interviews.
They're going to say, what did he fire? Well, he didn't fire me because I didn't work for him. But why did he cancel the contract?
Right.
I think people are going to, I think even his own people will wonder what the hell
they will say nothing to him. They will say nothing to him. So if he called you and said, oh, God, I really flew off the handle, would you come back? What would you say to him?
I would say, pay me what you owe me. And it was great. I really enjoyed this learning experience, and the best of luck to you and everyone at your organization.
What's your advice for the next person who wants to do business with them? Because he didn't pay out the Twitter executives. He hasn't paid out regular employees. I've heard from dozens of them. They're in severance hell with this guy. Doesn't pay rent. I mean, it goes. He's like Trump times 6 in this regard, paying bills. What advice would you have for the next person who wants to do one? Because this is one of Linda Yaccarino's big thing is we're going to make this immediate. Now she was touting video yesterday when she knew full well what was going on here.
Well, if you read the New York Times piece, advertisers were still trying to advertise around my show.
Right.
They were using my show. What would I do? And by the way, I'll answer your question. There were people who were asking me, talent in this business, a number of people, oh my God, your deal with X sounds very interesting. What do I do? How do I do this? This is the future. I think what you're doing is really smart, right? And so I told them to call my agent, call Oren Rosenbaum, right? Mm-hmm. Who's a digital guru at UTA.
He's a podcast.
Yeah,
he's
and
also
have him work that out.
By the way.
And there were a number of people who reached out to me, and a number of people who reached out to my representatives because of that. And if those people want to go to X, I'm sure they would. But I was in a position to actually bring normal journalists to them. I shouldn't say normal, more centrist journalists to them, and not mostly right wing people, or I shouldn't say just journalists, talent, and also advertisers.
Yeah.
There were advertisers who said, oh my God, I'm so excited about what you're doing. Mm-hmm. I'm so excited about this new project. We want to support you. But X, So in the end, with the advertisers, they weren't really helping.
Right.
And as you told me, do this on your own. Invest and bet on yourself. Advertisers were more excited about working with me than they were about working with X. And there were some who were coming to the platform. I don't know if they'll still do it. They may still do it because of me. And we'll see how that plays out now. But I would say to them, go into it with your eyes open. I cannot tell you what to do. You told me not to do it. I did it and I found out. And I wouldn't even say the hard way. I actually enjoyed the experience.
No, all right, okay. But just so you know, you're not going to get paid. I told you to get paid up front, didn't I? You're not getting paid.
No, he'll get paid just after a judge decides he's getting paid.
Yeah, that's true. That could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
yes. Also,
was the better way to do it.
Listen. But I think that there was an even sort of trade-off. Well, I shouldn't say that. I don't know if I don't know that to be true. But alluding to what Scott said, the promotion from this has been, I don't really know how you put a dollar amount on that, but if Elon had just not said anything and let the interview run, it would be over, 2 days after.
Yeah, you got musked.
Yeah.
You got musked. Scott, last question.
Well, just an observation and a question. I always like to try and glean a learning from our guests for younger people. And that is, a lot of times when you get laid off or fired, it has nothing to do with you. And to forgive yourself, and just nothing's ever as good or as bad as it seems. And Don, I can just hear in your voice, you're fine. I get the sense you're sleeping just fine.
I am.
The question I have is, so you were and still are a kind of a cable news star. Cable news is in decline.
Mm-hmm.
The audience is shrinking. There's more talent than there is audience on cable news right now. And you've left and you're trying to shape kind of a new strategy, different distribution channels, maybe a new positioning for your show. Can you sort of walk us through, and it's probably a work in progress, can you walk us through your strategy for how you're going to try and maintain relevance, maintain, an income stream, and sort of adapt to this new world? What's your thinking and your strategy here around the show and how you kind of move forward?
Well, number one, I'm in a position where I can, at least for a couple of years, I can try things, right? I can experiment, and I intend to do that. Do I think that my relevance or my income or whatever it is that it's going to be the same as when it was on CNN? No. I mean, I'm not working for CNN. And if I went to a different network, my relevance and my income would be different. And so I don't expect that. I think people start media companies, or they start streaming, and they think they're going to, be the same as they were on broadcast media or cable media. No, I'm not that naive. I'm a 58-year-old man, and I know, and I'm very realistic about life. Do I think I have, another chapter? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think I'm still relevant. I think I'm more relevant than people who are on cable news right now. Just because I am open and willing to try new things, and I am not afraid of anything. I'm not afraid of Elon Musk. I wasn't afraid of anyone that I've ever worked with, any interview subject, the former president of the United States. I'm not. And so I believe you have to have the right attitude about life. If you have the positive attitude about life, you try things, you don't let perfect be the enemy of the good, then you will go on and be successful. What I said, people wondered, like, why hasn't Don announced anything? Why hasn't he, announced a job? Why hasn't he found a job? None of that was true. People don't understand what contracts mean in this business. You have non-competes. You have, there are time limits that you can do. You have to wait a certain amount of time before you can even look for a job. All of those things. There are certain things about direct competitors where you can't go on, people who are your direct competitors. And so I want to continue to be able to afford the lifestyle that I have. And so those things aren't even in the realm of possibility to me. What I'm doing now, it just happens to be where the future of this industry is going. So, what I'm going to do next is lean into that, to the digital part of this, to the small screen part of this. And Scott, you talked about that as well. So what I'm going to do is take whatever I can, invest in my business. I'm going to be lean and mean, and I'm going to spend the money up top to get it running, to look the best that it can. And once I figure out how to do this thing, then I'm going to slim it down even more, so that I am running this entire business, not doing everything for myself, but that I have a few of the right people around me, and do it the way that it should be done. Let me tell you what I've learned. When you're watching and you're getting your news on a small screen, And even sometimes on a big screen, nobody cares really about the giant studio around you that costs $5-10 million and all of those swoosh and whatever. They just want the information. And they don't care if you have 50 producers or 10 writers. They want what they want from you, and that is quality, and that is information, and they want someone who's going to be authentic. And so that's where this is going. This isn't the way of I look at this, it's akin to the studio system from the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and maybe even the 60s in Hollywood. Those days are gone. And so people have to become their own brands. You have to become your own studio and your own entrepreneur. The best advice that I got was from Kara Swisher. And it clicked in my head in that moment. I remember I was standing in my kitchen in Sag Harbor. You said, you're no longer a talent. You're an entrepreneur.
Uh-huh.
And the minute you said that, I was like, fuck yeah, she's right. I'm an entrepreneur. I need to learn how to be a businessman. I had never had to do that because everyone was always taking care of me.
They coddle you, Don. Now it's Don 2.0, lean and mean.
I know. Wait, real quick.
Lean.
No, I was never mean. But so now I'm an entrepreneur, and I have to learn how to be an entrepreneur. And with that, I tell people, I don't know this part of the business. Help me out.
Yeah.
Okay, help me understand this. I want to sign every check. I want to see every invoice. Give it to me. I want to learn how to do it. And so that's where I am now. And guess what? It's hard, but I love it.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
learning.
fun.
And you know what? I am going to be successful.
There you go.